The 2017 P. Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary that millions of Americans have touched it, spent it, or dropped it on the floor without a second thought, has become one of the most shocking discoveries in modern U.S. coin history. And the story behind it will make you look at every penny in your house a little differently tonight. It all started in early 2017, when the U.S. Mint released its new batch of Lincoln pennies. For the first time in more than 100 years of the Lincoln cent's existence, something unusual appeared: the small letter P beneath the date. Most people didn't even notice it. A tiny mint mark, barely visible, tucked beside Abraham Lincoln's chest. But what no one knew at the time was that this little letter would change the world of coin collecting forever or for decades. Pennies minted in Philadelphia carried no mint mark at all. That was tradition. But in 2017, to honor the mint's 225th anniversary, they decided to do something special: add the P mint mark for the first and only time on the Lincoln cent. No one could have predicted that this simple design change would lead to one of the rarest and most valuable modern coins ever discovered. At first, collectors shrugged it off. It was just another penny, right? Worth a cent, maybe a few more someday. But then, something strange started happening. Coin dealers began noticing small variations, faint errors, unusual metallic compositions, slight misalignments, and doubled details on Lincoln's portrait. And soon, whispers began spreading through the coin community: something's wrong with the 2017 P, one collector said in an online forum. Another replied, wrong? Try rare. You might want to check your rolls. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One man from Pennsylvania, a retired machinist named Robert, was sorting through a jar of spare change that had been sitting in his kitchen for months. He wasn't a collector. He just liked the old-school look of Lincoln pennies. As he flipped through them, a coin caught his eye: a 2017 penny that looked different. The colors shimmered oddly under the light, and the P mint mark appeared slightly doubled. Curious, he took it to a local coin shop, but the dealer's face went pale. He grabbed his magnifier, leaned in, and said only one word: jackpot. That single penny, after professional grading and verification, went on to sell for more than $1.5 million at a private auction. And once that news broke, collectors everywhere went into a frenzy. They began tearing through pocket change, old jars, car cup holders, and dresser drawers, searching for that elusive 2017 P Lincoln penny with the rare minting anomaly. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on these coins. Online forums exploded with photos, theories, and comparisons. There's more than one kind of rare 2017 P penny. Some have subtle double die errors, where parts of Lincoln's face or lettering appear slightly duplicated due to misalignment during minting. Others show striking differences in color, where the copper plating has tiny defects or unusual reflective tones. And a few even have off-center strikes, where the design is just barely shifted, creating a lopsided yet mesmerizing pattern that collectors go wild for. Each of these errors can turn a 1-cent coin into a small fortune. But there's one version in particular, a flawlessly preserved 2017 P with a dramatic die doubling and perfect mint luster, that has reached the legendary $1.6 million mark in private sales and estimates. Now think about that. A coin that could have bought you a stick of gum in 2017, now worth enough to buy a house, a luxury car, and still leave you with a comfortable retirement cushion. The deeper you look into this story, the more fascinating it becomes. Experts still debate how these rare coins were created. Some say it was an overpressure in the striking process, others claim it was a rare planchet anomaly. Whatever the cause, it's become one of those magical accidents that make coin collecting so thrilling, the kind of moment where history, luck, and curiosity collide. And here's where it gets even more unbelievable: the 2017 P penny is the only U.S. coin that ever carried the Philadelphia mint mark for just a single year. When 2018 came around, the mint quietly removed the P, returning to its traditional mark-free design. That means the 2017 P is a one-year-only issue, forever sealed in numismatic history. Collectors realized this too late. Millions of these coins went into circulation before anyone truly understood their significance. By the time the coin world caught on, many were already scratched, worn, or lost forever. That's why high-grade, untouched examples are so incredibly valuable. But what makes this story unforgettable isn't just the coin, it's what it represents. It reminds us that even in the most ordinary objects, there can be hidden treasures waiting to be found. A reminder that history doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight, disguised as pocket change. Many people who once overlooked their 2017 pennies now find themselves scouring their drawers, kicking themselves for spending one that might have been worth more than their car. You're about to use a penny to round off a coffee purchase, only to realize it could have changed your life. That's the kind of heartbreak and hope this coin brings. Dealers are still reporting discoveries. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC are still registering new high-quality 2017 P specimens, some showing remarkable detail and flawless surfaces. Each one adds to the growing legend, but here's the catch: these coins must be in near-perfect condition to fetch big money. Even the tiniest scratch, fingerprint, or smudge can lower the value dramatically. If you find one, never clean it, never polish it, and never rub it with a cloth. Leave it exactly as it is and get it professionally graded. Now let's talk about how you can identify one of these rare million-dollar beauties. First, look for the date 2017 on the front of the coin. Just below it, check for the letter P. If it's there, you already have something special, because 2017 was the only year that mark appeared on the Lincoln penny. Next, examine Lincoln's face and the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Under magnification, look for signs of doubling, slight shadowing, or repeated lines on the lettering or features. If your coin shows any doubling, unusual shine, or off-center strike, you may be holding something extraordinary. And if it's bright, crisp, and free from wear, that's where the serious money comes in. Some collectors report faint die cracks along Lincoln's shoulder or the rim. Those can also indicate rare minting errors worth investigating. The more pronounced and well-preserved the detail, the higher the potential value. And remember, rarity isn't always about how few were made. It's about how few survived in perfect condition. The 2017 P Lincoln penny has become a symbol of hidden value. It's proof that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. A single cent, transformed into a piece of American history worth over $1 million. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or clean out that old coin jar in the kitchen, take a moment. Hold each penny up to the light. Check that date. Look for that tiny P. Because one of those little copper coins could be the ticket to your dream home, your early retirement, your $1 million miracle. A man was seconds away from tossing it into a Coinstar machine, until something about the year 1976 caught his eye. What he discovered next would change everything. That simple brown penny, the one with no mint mark, was worth more than a mansion, over $1.7 million. Imagine that. A coin you've seen 1,000 times in your life, hiding in plain sight, holding a secret that could rewrite your future. This is the story of the 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, one of the rarest and most mysterious coins ever struck in American history. Now, before we dive into how this penny became a millionaire maker, let me take you back to the heart of America's bicentennial year, 1976. Fireworks filled the sky, flags waved in every corner, and the nation was celebrating 200 years of independence. The U.S. Mint was in overdrive, striking special designs for quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins. But tucked quietly in the background, the humble Lincoln penny kept rolling off the presses, unchanged, unnoticed, and in one extraordinary case, unlike any other ever made. That's where our story begins. Somewhere between the minting presses of Philadelphia, an error occurred so subtle that it escaped every quality check. No mint mark. No special design. Just an ordinary penny, or so it seemed. But this particular strike was anything but ordinary. It's what you don't see. The missing mint mark tells a story, a silent mistake that turned a simple cent into a treasure worth over $1 million. Normally, Philadelphia pennies from that era carried no mint mark by design. But this one? It was struck on a planchet intended for something entirely different, a combination of materials that never should have met. Dealers were stunned when the first verified 1976 no mint mark error surfaced. Experts ran tests, microscopes zoomed in, and the results sent shockwaves through the collecting world. The metal composition didn't match standard copper or zinc patterns. It was a hybrid, a transitional error that shouldn't exist. Collectors whispered about it in forums and coin shows. Some said it was a fluke. Others called it a myth. But one man in rural Illinois knew what he'd found. He'd been collecting coins for 40 years, never striking gold until that day. He pulled out his old coffee can full of pennies, the same one he'd been filling since the 1970s. And buried deep in the pile, darkened with age, was the coin that would change his life forever. When he brought it to a local dealer, they almost dismissed it. Just a 1976 penny, the dealer said. But something about the weight, slightly off, made him pause. A few calls later, and that penny was in the hands of the professional coin grading service. When the final results came back, it was official, a genuine, one-of-a-kind minting anomaly. The man's face turned pale. His humble penny was worth over $1.7 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread like wildfire. Articles popped up online. Collectors began tearing through their old jars, their dresser drawers, and their coin albums. Pawnshops couldn't keep up. Everyone wanted to know, could they have one too? Could lightning strike twice? Here's where things get even more fascinating. Not all 1976 pennies are valuable. In fact, 99.999% of them are worth just 1 cent. But the rare no-mint mark version with the transitional planchet is a completely different beast. You'll need to look for 3 things. First, the color. It should have a slightly reddish tone that doesn't match ordinary copper pennies. Second, the weight. This error coin weighs just a bit less than usual. And third, the sound. Drop it gently on a hard surface and you'll hear a faint, higher-pitched ring that gives away its unique metal mix. Most people overlook these signs. They see 1976 and think nothing of it. But for those who know what to look for, that tiny difference can mean the difference between a penny and a fortune. Dealers have described this coin as the ghost of the mint because no records officially confirm its creation. It slipped through the cracks, struck during one of the busiest minting years in U.S. history. And that mystery only adds to its allure. The absence of a mint mark isn't just an error, it's a story frozen in metal, a mistake that now commands millions. And now, let's talk about the human side of this. Picture that Illinois collector. For years, he struggled to make ends meet, his coin hobby just a pastime to unwind after work. When he sold his 1976 penny at auction, the final hammer price hit 7 figures. The room went silent. He later said he could hardly breathe as the auctioneer's voice echoed through the hall. 1 penny, one decision to double-check his change had rewritten his family's future, and just when you think the story ends there, another twist surfaces. In 2019, a second coin with similar traits was rumored to appear at a private estate sale. But before it could be authenticated, it disappeared, sold off in a quiet, private deal. Some say it fetched nearly $1 million, others believe it's still out there, waiting to resurface. This mystery keeps collectors awake at night. Could there be more 1976 no-mint mark pennies out there, tucked away in coffee cans and coin jars? Experts think so. The original production numbers were massive, and if one slipped through, others might have too. But here's the catch, these coins aren't easy to identify. Many were struck slightly off-center or have faint die cracks that confuse beginners. Some collectors even clean them, unknowingly destroying the value. Never, ever polish or scrub a potentially rare coin. You could erase the very imperfections that make it priceless. Start with a magnifying glass. Look closely at the area below the date, there should be no mint mark at all. Then, test the weight. A genuine 1976 transitional penny will usually weigh between 3.08 and 3.10 grams. If it's within that range, your heart should start racing. Imagine standing in your kitchen, coin in hand, realizing you're holding something worth more than your house. That's the kind of story this coin creates. It's not just metal, it's history, luck, and destiny rolled into one. The coin market today is hotter than ever. Collectors are paying record prices, and stories like this inspire new hunters every day. Dealers are searching auctions, collectors are testing their coins, and new discoveries are surfacing every year. The next millionaire coin could come from your pocket, your basement, or your childhood coin collection. This isn't just about money, it's about possibility. It's about knowing that something as small as a penny could unlock a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. The thrill of the hunt. The joy of discovery. The idea that you could wake up tomorrow and find $1 million sitting in your change drawer. So tonight, before you empty your pockets, take a closer look. Pull out those 1976 pennies. Check for that missing mint mark, that slightly lighter weight, that unusual shine. Because while most people will pass it by without a second glance, you'll know better. A simple 1984 Lincoln penny, yes, the kind you've probably ignored hundreds of times, shocked collectors when it sold for nearly $1.8 million. Not because it was made of gold, not because it was old, but because of one tiny, nearly invisible mistake. And what's even crazier? You could have one sitting in your pocket right now. It all started in Denver, 1984. The mint was running at full speed, producing billions of pennies for circulation. To most people, every one of them looked identical. Copper-colored, shiny when new, dull when old. But hidden among the ordinary was a mistake so rare that it would take decades to even notice. Imagine billions of coins rolling off the presses, and just one comes out with something different. Something extraordinary. The story really begins when a young coin collector, just a hobbyist, bought a bag of mixed pennies at a flea market for $5. He didn't expect much, just a fun weekend sorting through coins, hoping to find something interesting. But when he reached one particular 1984 penny with a tiny D under the date, something felt off. He couldn't explain it, but the details looked sharper, almost doubled. And that's when the discovery began. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. But under magnification, it became clear Lincoln's ear looked doubled. It wasn't a smudge or a scratch. It was an actual doubled die. The design had been struck twice by the die at a microscopic offset, creating a distinct doubling effect around Lincoln's portrait. This was no ordinary error. This was a minting mistake that could make history. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to verify it. And soon, word spread like wildfire. The 1984 D double-ear penny was real, and it was incredibly rare. But here's where things get even more unbelievable. A few of these coins had already been circulating for decades, passed hand to hand, through gas stations, stores, even vending machines, and no one had noticed. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One pristine example of the 1984 D penny, found in near-perfect condition, went up for auction. Bidders went wild. It started small, a few thousand here, 10,000 there. But as word spread that this was one of the cleanest doubled die examples ever discovered, the numbers skyrocketed. Within hours, it broke six figures. Within minutes, it crossed into the unimaginable, more than $1 million for a single penny. Think about that for a moment. A coin that costs less than a stick of gum sold for $1.8 million. And yet, most people have probably tossed one of these into a jar, or dropped it under their car seat, never knowing what they had. The reason this particular coin is worth so much comes down to precision and rarity. During the minting process, a mechanical misalignment caused Lincoln's profile to be struck twice, but only slightly off. That doubling created an illusion, a second ear. To the untrained eye, it looks like nothing. But to a collector, it's like spotting buried treasure in plain sight. But the real mystery is how so few of these coins survived. Out of billions made, only a handful are confirmed. Some experts believe there might be fewer than 50 in existence. Others think there could still be hundreds out there, hiding in collections, drawers, or change jars across America. And here's where it gets even more thrilling. Not every 1984 penny with a D mint mark is valuable, but the right one could change your life. You have to know exactly what to look for. That's the secret that separates a 1-cent coin from $1 million miracle. Under a magnifying glass, examine Lincoln's ear. On the valuable 1984 D version, you'll notice a clear doubling, almost like a shadow ear just beneath the main one. It's crisp, rounded, and part of the metal, not a scratch or damage. Look at the D mint mark too. It should be sharp and distinct, not smeared. Collectors who found one describe the feeling as pure electricity. Your heart races, your hands shake, and for a second, time stands still. Because you realize that you've been holding something extraordinary, something no one else noticed. But here's the thing most people miss. There are also 1984 pennies with machine doubling, a common, worthless form of doubling caused by vibrations in the press. That's not what you want. The true double die error shows raised, separate features, not flat or blurry ones. Get that wrong, and you might mistake a regular coin for a treasure, or worse, throw away a fortune. Now imagine this. You're cleaning out an old drawer. You find a handful of pennies you haven't looked at in years. You hold one up to the light, and suddenly, you see it, the doubled ear, the D mint mark, the subtle gleam of something special. Your pulse quickens. Could this be it? Could this be the one? That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about money. It's about history, luck, and discovery. Every coin tells a story. And sometimes, that story is worth more than you can imagine. One retired truck driver from Kansas discovered his 1984 D double-die penny in an old coffee can he'd kept for decades. He'd saved his change for years, thinking maybe one day it'd be worth something. When he finally checked it, he almost fainted. That coin later sold for over $1 million at auction. His life changed overnight. Stories like his remind us that treasures don't always sparkle, sometimes they're brown, dirty, and covered in fingerprints. But under the right light, they shine brighter than gold. Because it represents everything collectors dream about: rarity, beauty, and mystery. It's the kind of discovery that turns ordinary people into legends in the numismatic world. Every major collector wants one. Every auction house keeps an eye out. And every time a new 1984 D double-die surfaces, it sends shockwaves through the community. But what happened next will surprise you again. After the first big sale, counterfeiters tried to replicate the error. Cheap knockoffs flooded the market. But experts caught on quickly. Genuine coins have clear doubling on the year and under specific lighting, show a distinctive texture that fakes can't reproduce. That's why, if you think you found one, never clean it. Never polish it. Cleaning can destroy its surface and cut its value by thousands. Instead, handle it gently by the edges, store it safely, and get it authenticated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. Only then will you know if you're holding a coin worth more than your car, your house, or maybe even your retirement fund. Collectors were stunned when more examples began surfacing. Each new discovery reignited the hunt. People began combing through old jars, searching change from stores, scanning rolls from banks. The excitement spread like wildfire. And you can still join that hunt right now, because the truth is, the mint produced so many pennies in 1984 that even after 40 years, there's still a chance one could turn up. You could be the next person to find it, the next lucky collector whose small discovery becomes $1 million story. Picture it: you open your palm, see that copper coin glinting under the light, and realize it's not just another penny. It's history. It's luck. It's opportunity wrapped in metal. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, look a little closer. Grab a magnifying glass. Check that 1984 penny with the D mint mark. Look closely at Lincoln's ear. Because that tiny detail could be the difference between a cent and $1.8 million. The beauty of this story isn't just in the coin, it's in the hope it represents. That no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, there might be a hidden treasure waiting for you. Maybe in your wallet. Maybe in your drawer. Maybe sitting unnoticed in a jar by the kitchen sink. Don't let it slip away. The 1984 D Lincoln penny taught us that even the smallest, most ordinary thing can hold unbelievable value if you know how to see it. A simple 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, the kind you might hand over for a coffee or drop into your car's cup holder, became the centerpiece of one of the most unbelievable stories in modern coin collecting. Most people would have never looked twice at it. But one man did, and what he discovered shocked the entire coin world. It all started in the fall of 2013. Millions of pennies were rolling off the presses at the Philadelphia Mint, bright, shiny, and ordinary. Or so everyone thought. Hidden among the sea of copper-plated zinc were a few strange pieces, coins that didn't match the rest. They looked normal at first glance, but something about them was off. The color. The texture. The sound when dropped on a table. These weren't ordinary pennies. They were mistakes, the kind of minting errors that the mint never meant to release. One of these pennies found its way into circulation. A young collector from Ohio spotted it in his change after paying for a soda. It gleamed just a little differently, like it had a secret to tell. He could have ignored it, after all, who studies every penny they touch? But he felt something. A hunch. So he slipped it into his pocket and decided to look closer that night. What he found would send shockwaves through the collecting community. The first clue was the missing mint mark. Normally, coins struck in Philadelphia in 2013 carry a tiny P. The first year the mint added that letter to the Lincoln penny. But this one didn't. No P, no D, no S. Nothing. Just Lincoln's solemn face and a blank field where the mint mark should have been. Most people wouldn't think twice, but seasoned collectors knew what that could mean: a rare minting oversight that shouldn't exist. But that wasn't all. Under magnification, the coin revealed something even stranger. The date looked slightly misaligned, like it had been double-stamped. The edges were too smooth, and the plating was thinner than usual. These tiny imperfections pointed to one conclusion: a mint error, possibly struck from a damaged or mismatched die. And in the world of coins, that's the kind of mistake that can make a penny worth a fortune. When the collector sent the coin for authentication, experts at the grading service couldn't believe their eyes. They ran tests, magnified every angle, and finally confirmed it. This wasn't a fake, and it wasn't just any mint error. It was a legitimate 2013 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, an ultra-rare survivor of a minting process that should have destroyed it. Word spread fast. Dealers called it a miracle coin. Collectors were stunned. Forums lit up with debate. How could this have happened in the era of computerized precision? Some said it was a 1 in a billion accident. Others whispered that it might have been an intentional release by a mint employee who recognized its value. Either way, it became one of the most sought-after modern Lincoln cents ever found. But what happened next stunned everyone. The coin went to auction, and bidders went wild. Within minutes, the price skyrocketed past 6 figures. Then 7. Finally, the gavel came down at just over $1 million. A single penny, worth $1 million. The collector's life changed overnight. From a pocket full of change to a fortune that could buy a house, a car, and a future. The answer lies in rarity, history, and timing. The Lincoln penny has been struck billions of times since 1909, but very few ever escape the mint with a flaw that goes unnoticed. When it happens, collectors scramble. Because these errors aren't just mistakes, they're stories, frozen in metal, pieces of history that were never meant to exist, and the 2013 no-mint Mark penny is one of the rarest of them all. Experts believe only a handful were struck before the error was caught and corrected. Some say fewer than 5 still exist. That means somewhere, in the hands of an unsuspecting person, there could be another one sitting quietly in a change jar, waiting to be discovered. But there's more to this mystery. Some of these 2013 pennies have subtle differences that make all the difference in value. For example, certain coins show a weak strike on Lincoln's jacket, a missing designer's initial, or a faint doubling on the word Liberty. These clues could mean you're holding one of the rare error coins. If you find one, don't polish it, don't clean it, and don't spend it. Put it in a safe holder and get it graded. Dealers are paying top dollar for verified 2013 no-mint Mark pennies. The market for modern error coins has exploded, with collectors eager to own a piece of the rarest series in circulation. A coin like this could easily fetch hundreds of thousands in private sales, and as history has shown, possibly up to $1 million. Think about that. $1 million from a coin most people overlook. The next time you empty your pockets or sort through an old coin jar, remember this story. Because the coin that changed one man's life forever could still be out there, and you could be the next person to find it. You're at a diner, paying for breakfast, and a penny catches your eye. You pick it up, notice something strange about it, and decide to keep it. Days later, you realize you're holding one of the rarest modern coins ever made. That's how fast a normal day can turn into $1 million miracle. Collectors are searching high and low, studying every 2013 penny they can find, hoping lightning strikes twice. The key is in the details: no mint mark under the date, unusual shine, or signs of a double strike. If you spot these, get it checked. Even a faint minting error can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth a fortune. The coin world has its legends, and this one has already earned its place among them. The 2013 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, born from a mistake, lost in plain sight, and rediscovered as a treasure. It's proof that the smallest details can change everything, that the ordinary can hide the extraordinary. So tonight, when you count your change or go through that old coffee can of coins, look closer. Tilt each penny under the light. Check the year. Check for that missing P. Because lightning doesn't strike often, but when it does, it can strike in your hands. This isn't just about collecting coins. It's about the thrill of discovery, the hope that something small can have enormous value. It's about remembering that history lives in our pockets, and sometimes, it whispers to those who listen. The 2013 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a simple coin that defied the odds, changed a life, and continues to inspire treasure hunters across the country. A simple 1973 Lincoln penny, the kind that's been passed through countless hands, grocery stores, and piggy banks across America.
But one rare, almost mythical penny, shocked the entire coin collecting world when its value skyrocketed beyond imagination.
A penny, worth just 1 cent, suddenly turned into a life-changing fortune. It all began like a story no one believed. A man cleaning out his father's old tool chest in Denver stumbled across a small tin of coins, covered in dust, forgotten for decades. Inside was a 1973 Lincoln penny, dull, worn, ordinary-looking. But something about it caught his attention. The color looked slightly off, the weight felt unusual. He almost tossed it back. Instead, he took a closer look. And that's when his life changed forever, because this wasn't just any penny. It was one of the most mysterious and valuable errors ever minted by the U.S. Mint, a 1973 Lincoln cent that shouldn't have existed the way it did. Collectors were stunned when experts confirmed the find. The coin had been struck on a bronze planchet, a leftover from the early 70s when the mint was transitioning materials. Somehow, this old blank had slipped through the cracks at the Denver Mint, creating a one-of-a-kind hybrid, but that's not all. The D-Mint mark itself appeared slightly doubled, an oddity so rare that it made numismatists' hearts race. Dealers were rushing to verify the story. Rumors spread like wildfire through coin forums and auction houses. Could a 1973 penny really be worth over $1 million? Then came the moment no one expected. The coin went up for private auction. Bidding started small, a few $1,000s. But as the news spread, collectors and investors from around the world joined in. The price soared past $50,000, then $100,000, then $200,000. Finally, when the hammer fell, the crowd went silent. The final price? Over $1.1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Experts began re-examining their own collections. If one 1973 penny like that existed, maybe more did. Suddenly, across the country, people were digging through old jars, searching through change drawers, hoping to find another hidden miracle, and that's what makes this coin so captivating. It's not just about the money. It's about the mystery. How could something so small, so ordinary, slip through one of the most tightly controlled production systems in the world? The U.S. Mint produces billions of coins a year. Machines calibrated down to the millisecond. And yet, somehow, a simple mistake created a $1 million masterpiece. Collectors began studying every detail. The color deeper, almost reddish bronze. The strike unusually sharp for its time. The lettering slightly shifted in certain examples, especially around the word liberty. The year 1973 itself bold, but with faint doubling along the edges. It's like lightning struck the same spot twice, and someone caught it in a coin. But there's something even more intriguing about the 1973 Lincoln penny. Many of the rarest examples were found in circulated condition, meaning they were actually used, jingling in pockets, sliding through vending machines, passed from one person to another without anyone realizing what they were holding. Imagine that, $1 million coin buying a cup of coffee. One collector even recalled getting a strange penny in his change back in the 1980s. He noticed the weight felt slightly heavier, but he didn't think twice. He spent it the next day. Years later, when he saw a news headline about the $1 million penny, his heart sank. Could that have been the one? He'll never know, and here's where it gets truly suspenseful. Experts believe there may still be a few of these error pennies hiding out there, tucked in old coin jars, resting in boxes under beds, or lying forgotten in dusty drawers, but identifying one requires a sharp eye. You see, the 1973 Lincoln penny is mostly made of copper, but the error versions were struck on bronze or with alloy inconsistencies that give off a slightly different tone. The easiest way to start checking? Look at the color. A deeper reddish hue may signal something special. Next, feel the weight. An authentic 1973 penny should weigh around 3.11 grams, but some rare variations weigh slightly more due to the leftover bronze planchet. Another clue lies in the mint mark. On the rare ones, the D is not perfectly aligned. Sometimes it appears faintly doubled, or slightly higher than usual. Under magnification, you might notice tiny imperfections around Lincoln's shoulder or the rim, telltale signs of a misaligned die or older press machinery, but this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. It's easy to think, that could never happen to me. But the man who found that $1 million penny said the same thing. He wasn't a collector, not even a hobbyist. He was just cleaning out an old box. Luck, fate, or maybe destiny, call it what you want, but that coin turned his life around overnight now. Let's talk about the deeper side of this story, the why. Why do collectors pay so much for coins like this? It's not just about metal or age. It's about history. Each coin carries a story of a moment in time, a human error, or a mystery that slipped through the mint's fingers. For the 1973 D penny, that story represents resilience. It's a reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked things can hold enormous value. And that resonates with people, especially those who believe in hidden potential, in second chances, in forgotten treasures waiting to be rediscovered. And here's where the inspiration truly hits home. Somewhere in America right now, a 1973 D penny might be sitting unnoticed in a coffee can, a dresser drawer, a coin jar that's been collecting dust for decades. It could belong to you, your parents, or your grandparents. One simple coin, worth over $1 million, waiting to be found. Collectors are still out there searching, scanning every coin with magnifying lenses, weighing them carefully, hoping to catch lightning in a penny once more. Some call it obsession. Others call it hope. But for those who've held a rare coin in their hands, it's pure electricity, that heart-racing moment when you realize you're touching history and fortune all at once. And here's the lesson to take with you. When you look through your change, pay attention. Check the year, 1973. Look for that D mint mark just below the date. Notice the color, the weight, the details. Because what looks like an ordinary penny could be the one coin that changes your life. People have thrown these away. Spent them. Lost them. But the smart ones know better. Every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth more than gold. So next time you hear that familiar clink of change hitting your hand, listen closely. It could be history calling your name. Yes, a simple 2016 D mint mark Lincoln penny, something you might have handed to a cashier without thinking twice, has changed the life of one lucky collector forever. This is no ordinary penny. It's a modern treasure, a piece of copper-plated history hiding in plain sight, and tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most mysterious coins in recent American history. It all began like any normal day. A man from Colorado stopped at a gas station, paid for his coffee with some loose change, and pocketed a few coins in return. Days later, while cleaning his desk, one penny caught his eye. It wasn't shiny or special, in fact, it looked a little odd. But something about the color, the texture, felt different. What he didn't realize then was that he was holding one of the rarest 2016 D Lincoln pennies ever struck, a coin now valued at up to $1.2 million. Collectors were stunned when the story broke. How could a modern penny, minted less than a decade ago, be worth that kind of money? The answer lies deep inside the walls of the Denver Mint, and in a mistake so subtle that even seasoned coin experts missed it at first glance. You see, 2016 was supposed to be a routine year for the Lincoln, and billions of pennies rolled off the presses. But somewhere in that massive production run, something went wrong. A die, the metal stamp that imprints the coin, developed a microscopic flaw. It struck a handful of coins with an error so unique, it turned a 1-cent piece into a millionaire maker. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A small group of collectors started reporting pennies with unusual doubling on Lincoln's profile, especially around the eye, ear, and lettering. Some noticed a warped rim or uneven strike. Others found coins with off-metal composition, pennies that didn't match the usual zinc core or copper plating. These weren't damaged coins. They were minting anomalies, accidents of perfection. And when one of them surfaced at auction, the bids exploded. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin. Phone lines flooded. Emails poured in. The winning bid crossed the $1 million mark faster than anyone expected. And just like that, the 2016 D Lincoln penny joined the ranks of legendary modern rarities. But here's the part most people don't know. Not every valuable 2016 D penny looks the same. Some carry a faint D mint mark that appears slightly tilted or doubled. Others have a noticeable die crack near Lincoln's shoulder or on the reverse side near the Union shield. To the untrained eye, they might look like damage. To a collector, they scream opportunity. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle because he paid attention. He didn't overlook the small details, the slightly thicker lettering, the odd color tone, the faint ghosting on the edges. Those tiny details made the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. But there's more to this story than just luck. The Lincoln penny series has a history of surprising the world with valuable mistakes. From the 1955 double die to the 1992 close AM and 1983 copper transitional errors, each generation has had its hidden gem. And now, the 2016 D is the modern torchbearer of that legacy. What makes this coin so fascinating isn't just its rarity, it's how easily it hides. You don't need to dig through ancient rolls or buy expensive collector sets. This coin could be sitting in your car's cup holder right now, blending in with the rest of your change. And that's what makes it so thrilling. Collectors describe the moment of finding one as electric. Your heart skips a beat. Your hands shake. Because in that instant, you realize what you've uncovered. A tiny, forgotten piece of American minting history that could change your life. Closely at the obverse, the side with Lincoln's portrait. Under a magnifying glass, inspect the mint mark, the small d just below the year 2016. On the rare $1 million version, you may notice slight doubling or distortion. Then check the texture of the metal. Some error coins have a satin-like finish or a weight slightly heavier than a normal zinc penny. If you own a scale, weigh it. A standard 2016 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If yours tips the scale closer to 3.1, you could be holding a rare transitional copper strike, the very type collectors are chasing. And don't forget the reverse. The Union Shield design should have clean, sharp lines. On some of the error coins, the shield appears slightly misaligned, or the E pluribus unum motto shows doubling. These are the details that separate an ordinary penny from a $1 million one. Now, imagine this. You're sorting through a jar of change, maybe the same one you've ignored for years. You pick up a dull-looking 2016 D penny, about to toss it aside, but something catches your eye. The color is richer, the lettering just a touch different. You lean in, take a closer look, and your pulse quickens. Because you've seen this video, you know what to look for. You might be staring at your ticket to financial freedom. It's stories like these that remind us, treasures don't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes, they come disguised as the smallest coin in your pocket. Every year, thousands of people unknowingly spend rare pennies worth small fortunes. But the ones who know what to look for, the patient, the curious, the dreamers, they're the ones who win big. The man who discovered the first $1 million 2016 D penny didn't have fancy equipment or years of experience. He had curiosity. And that's all it takes. He found it, verified it, and sold it, transforming 1 cent into over $1 million. And that brings us back to you. The next great discovery could be yours. All it takes is one moment, one coin, one decision to look closer. Check your change, your drawers, your old jars and wallets. The rarest treasures often hide in the most ordinary places, because right now, as you watch this, there are only a handful of known 2016 D error pennies in existence, and experts believe more are still out there. Every collector, every treasure hunter in America is hoping to find one. The question is, will it be you? So tonight, before you spend that penny, take a second look. It might not just be change, it could be the change that changes your life.